as we find that there are some magnetic materials and there are non-magnetic materials. Now we are going to discuss magnetic materials of different types. We can categorize magnetic materials into three categories: diamagnetic, paramagnetic and ferromagnetic substances. Let's first see the properties of these magnetic materials and then we will discuss about some more things about them. So let's start. Diamagnetic substances. Magnetic substances which on placing in a magnetic field is feebly magnetized in a direction opposite to that of magnetizing field called diamagnetic substances. Example: antimony, bismuth, copper, lead, gold, silver, water, hydrogen and inert gases, etc. All these are diamagnetic in nature. Now let's see some properties of diamagnetic substances. It is feebly magnetized by a magnet. In non-uniform magnetic field, it moves from stronger part to weaker part of the magnetic field. Let's try to understand this. Suppose these are the two magnets which are placed to magnetic poles are placed to each other, so that here is the strong magnetic field, and let a magnetic material, that is diamagnetic material, is placed. Then if this is the level surface when no magnetic field is present, then these will move from stronger to weaker. So these will move in this direction. So the formation of this will not be uniform. Where the field is weak, say here, the magnetic material will be more, and say here is the strong magnetic field. So small part of the magnetic material will be here, and almost whole of the magnetic material will move away from the stronger magnetic field. Suppose here are the two magnets which are placed very far away from each other. Then we know that here is the magnet, here at the poles magnetic field is strong, and if we place a pen like this, and here again some magnetic material is present, say water or something like this is present here. Here the field is weak and magnetic field at this point, these points is strong. So these will move from stronger to weaker. So these will move in this direction. From here also in this direction, and the buildup will be somewhat like this. Next point. When a rod of diamagnetic substance is freely suspended in a uniform magnetic field, it aligns itself in a direction perpendicular to the direction of magnetic field. Suppose this is a rod of diamagnetic substances, and here is the magnetic field. Say this is north pole and this is south pole, and this is the direction of the field, somewhat like this. Then this rod, that is diamagnetic rod, will align itself so that it is perpendicular to this. So it will always align on freely suspension, that it makes an angle of 90 degree, or we can say perpendicular to the direction of field. Fourth point is when a specimen of diamagnetic substance is placed in a magnetizing field, the lines of force prefer not to pass through it. Suppose again these are the two magnets, this is north pole and this is south pole. These two poles are creating magnetic field here, and if a specimen of diamagnetic substance, here is the diamagnetic substance, then magnetic lines of force will not prefer to pass through it, but it will move somewhat like this and somewhat like this. These will not prefer to pass through the diamagnetic substances. The magnetic permeability of diamagnetic substance is always less than 1. The value of mu is less than 1. The susceptibility of diamagnetic substances is negative. Susceptibility of diamagnetic substance is independent of temperature. It doesn't depend upon temperature. Later on we will see in Curie law that there is some dependency on temperature also. So those points I will discuss in Curie law. Now let's move further. It does not obey Curie law. So it not obeys Curie law, and the substances which do not obey Curie law are independent of temperature. Paramagnetic substances. The substances of which each individual atom molecule has non-zero magnetic moment. They have some net magnetic moment. Every molecule has some magnetic moment, which on placing in magnetic field magnetized in the direction of magnetizing field feebly. Keep in mind, in diamagnetic substances in a direction opposite, and this is in the direction of field but feebly, are called paramagnetic substances. Some examples are aluminium, chromium, platinum, alkali metals, etc. Now let's see some properties of paramagnetic substances. It is feebly attracted by a magnet. In non-uniform magnetic field, it moves from weaker part to stronger part of the magnetic field. Again, let us see the example once again. Here we know that magnetic field is strong. This is North Pole, this is South Pole. Here is the strong magnetic field, and here is the weak magnetic field, and these moves from stronger part of the from weaker to stronger part of the magnetic field. So this is the weak part and here is the strong part. So this will build up somewhat like this. If we make some another arrangement like this, north and say this is south, and we know that here is the magnetic field is weak, and we place the material, then these will move from, we know that, weaker to stronger. So these will build up somewhat like this. When a paramagnetic rod is freely suspended in a uniform magnetic field, it aligns itself in the direction of magnetic field slowly. In that case, in diamagnetic substances, they align themselves in a direction perpendicular, but in paramagnetic substances, these will align in the direction of a field. So those were perpendicular, but here these are in the direction, but slowly. When paramagnetic material is placed in a magnetizing field, the lines of force prefer to pass through the specimen. Like this, suppose this is a north and this is a south, and here is say paramagnetic material. So lines of force will pass through this. Those will pass through this. The magnetic permeability of diamagnetic substance is always greater than 1. That is, mu is greater than 1. Susceptibility of paramagnetic substance is positive, but value is small. In the diamagnetic substance that was negative, but here in paramagnetic substance its value is positive. Susceptibility of paramagnetic substance depends upon temperature, and if it depends upon temperature, I earlier told you it obeys Curie law because these are connected to each other. Now let's discuss about ferromagnetic substances. The substance which on placing in a magnetic field is magnetized strongly in a direction of magnetizing field is known as ferromagnetic substance. Here strongly. In case of para, that was weak, and in case of dia, that was opposite. I will told you later. Now let's discuss some examples of this. Example is iron, cobalt, nickel, gadolinium, and dysprosium, etc. Now let's discuss about properties of ferromagnetic substances. It is strongly attracted by magnet. In a non-uniform magnetic field, it moves from a weaker part to stronger part of magnetic field, but this time this moves rapidly. When a rod of substance is freely suspended In a uniform magnetic field, it aligns itself in a direction of magnetizing field, but this time quickly. In case of paramagnetic substances, it also align in the direction, but that was there we use word slowly. But here, these align themselves quickly. The magnetic lines of force prefer to pass through it. Say these are the north and south poles, and here is the ferromagnetic substance. In case of paramagnetic substances, the lines may pass through this, but in case of ferromagnetic substances, they prefer to pass. Prefer to pass means if any line is there, that this will not move like this, but it will pass through this. It will prefer to pass through the, in comparison to free space, it will prefer to pass through the ferromagnetic substances. Magnetic permeability of ferromagnetic substances is much greater than 1. Susceptibility is positive and having a large value. That is positive and it have a large value. Susceptibility of ferromagnetic substance decrease with a rise in temperature. Here we discussed about properties of magnetic substances. There are 3 different types of substances: dia, para and ferromagnetic substances, and all of them have nearly about 8 properties we discussed in this lecture. And in total, if we count them, these are the 24 properties. But by using a simple technique, you can easily learn this process. And what is that technique? I'm going to tell you. Always keep in mind that diamagnetic substances are always opposite to the field. They are doing everything opposite to the field and slowly or with small values. For paramagnetic substances, these are on the side of the field, that is magnetic field, but with small values or slowly. For ferromagnetic substances, these are strongly towards the field with large values and rapidly. Always keep in mind diamagnetic substances are weak, opposite and slowly. For paramagnetic substances, these are weak in same direction and slowly. But in case of ferromagnetic substances, these are strong in the same and rapidly. So these are the 3 common points with the help of which you can learn all these concepts very easily. Now, while discussing about the properties of magnetic substances, the last property of each magnetic substances I told about Curie law. Then what is Curie law? Let's try to understand that. Curie law in magnetism, according to which the intensity of magnetization of a magnetic material is directly proportional to magnetic induction, that is I is directly proportional to V, and inversely proportional to temperature of the material, that is I is inversely proportional to temperature, that is T. Combining all these, that we can write, as we know that B is directly proportional to H, so we can also write I is proportional to H upon T. We can draw a simple graph like this. In this direction I am taking H upon T, this value, and in this direction I am taking I. Say this is y-axis and along x-axis H upon T. Up to this point I is proportional to H by T, and after this point this becomes independent of H upon T. So this Curie law shows the dependency of susceptibility on temperature. After going through all these points, we know that when we heat a magnetic substance, then it loses its magnetization. It's okay. But what happens if we cycles the magnetization? That is, we magnetize and demagnetize, magnetize and demagnetize a specimen. What will happen? Let's try to understand this phenomena also. The cycle of this magnetization and demagnetization is known as hysteresis. Let's know about the hysteresis. The phenomena of lagging of I or B behind H when specimen of magnetic material is subjected to a cycle of magnetization is called hysteresis. So for that, let us consider in this direction along y-axis I am taking I, that is magnetic induction, and in this direction I am taking H, that is strength of magnetic field. We are magnetizing and demagnetizing this. So during magnetization we know that I is directly proportional to H, somewhat like this. Say this is O and this is A. When we start demagnetizing this, then this will not come to this path, but it will follow path somewhat like this. And we observe that some magnetism left in the material. This is known as, that is this OB. This OB is known as retentivity or residual magnetism. For making this magnetism zero, we have to apply some negative strength. Negative strength means if there is north pole, say this is the specimen and this is placed inside this, say in this direction north and in this direction south, and some residual remains there. So we have to apply opposite polarity. We have to make this north and we have to make this south so that it comes to zero. Now it will move somewhat like this. At this point, say this point is C, and this field required to make this zero is known as, this OC is known as coercivity. Now this magnetic field continues in this direction, so again it will reach to point somewhat like this, and after that it will not move like this. So again we change the polarity from south north to north south, and it will again there some residual magnetism is observed here, retentivity is observed here, and if we apply some negative point, negative field again, and it will not reaches to this, so we have to apply some negative field again, and if we move in the same direction it will reaches to this point. So this cycle of magnetization and demagnetization is known as hysteresis, and this curve is known as hysteresis curve. So this is hysteresis curve. To understand this phenomena, I am using these two bar magnets and this iron strip. We know that here in this direction you can observe this is the north pole of this and this is the south pole of this. Again in this case this is the north pole of this and this is the south pole of this. And you can observe this is the strip, and you can observe here are the some marks on this so that we can understand the polarity of all this. Say this is placed between these two. Now what will happen now? Due to magnetic field of this, that is north to south, the domains of this material align themselves according to this direction. If I remove this field, as we discussed in hysteresis case, these will not all come to its original state, but some of them align themselves according to that direction which initially we discussed. So to demagnetize them, we have to apply opposite polarity like this. We have to make this south pole, and in this direction north pole, so that if any residual magnetic field is there, they come to its initial. If we increase the strength of field in the same direction, then more and more domains of this align themselves according to the direction of this. Again, if we remove the field from here, we observe that not all the domains of this are aligned to its initial position, but some residual magnetic field is there. Again we have to apply field in opposite direction so that they comes to its initial stage, and this phenomena continues. So in this way we can understand the phenomena of this hysteresis. What this curve represents? It represents the energy dissipation per cycle of magnetization and demagnetization. Why energy is dissipating? Because every time we have to apply extra field to give the initial position to its domains of the material. That's why this is the loss of energy per cycle, and that's why we say that this represents the loss of energy per cycle of magnetization or demagnetization. Why this hysteresis curve is important for us? Because this allows us to select the material for proper type of instruments. If we are making lab magnets, then we need large coercivity. The curve should be wider so that any magnet, suppose these are the lab magnets, and we know that students does activities according to their preferences, or in knowingly or unknowingly they are doing the things. If anyhow, suppose this coercivity of this material is high, that is higher than the strength of the magnetic field of this bar magnet, then if I place north pole of this towards the north pole of other magnet, so due to repulsion is there, we knows very well, but the domains will not moves in opposite direction, or in simple words we can say that it will not demagnetize other magnet. So for the lab magnets, or where some permanent magnets are required, we should select material of high coercivity. Also, we are using the iron cores in different types of electrical instruments. So to make iron core, and if we are using AC in homes, AC, not AC air cooler, but it is AC means alternating current. We will discuss in next unit about that. Then alternating current, we know that it is continuously changing, or in a second in India it changes at the rate of 50 Hertz. So it is continuously changing, and hence the cycle of magnetization and demagnetization is very rapid. So if there is large coercivity, then there will be large amount of loss of energy. So to make the iron cores, we require a material which have small coercivity. So in this way, we can select the right material with the help of this hysteresis loop. If you have any kind of query or problem related to this unit, you can write me on comment section of YouTube, or you can send me a telegram, or you can send me a picture with the help of WhatsApp or email, any mode you want. If you don't find my Telegram channel, then you can search in Telegram using Bhotik IQ, or on YouTube it is Bhotik. So I think up to here we have a good knowledge of magnetism, or Earth's magnetism, or magnetism and matter. If you want to continue with me for future videos or lectures, you can subscribe the channel, or you can directly message me on the Telegram channel. So that's all for this lecture. Till next lecture, goodbye.